Hi guys, so I'm here showing you basically an unboxing of the Viofo A129 Duo. I'm also going to show you how to update the firmware, how to install it, and I'll give you a bit of a review because this is my second camera, so I've actually been using this for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months now. This is a camera that I'm going to be installing in my wife's car because I'm pretty happy with the product. So anyways, here we go. I've actually already unboxed this, but had some camera issues, so I had to neatly pack it away for you guys so that you get the fun unboxing sensation. Anyways, so that's the main camera there, the Viofo, the main unit there. That on the back there is the GPS unit, which actually detaches, which I really like because you just stick that to your windshield, and then basically if you want to update the firmware, you don't have to unstick that, you just basically unclip it, take that away and update it and then bring it back. So I really like that feature. The actual build quality of it, I'm not actually that happy with the build quality of it. It is pretty cheap build quality. This is the rear view camera. Little unit there, cool. So yeah, like I was saying about the build quality, I'm not that happy about it. I'd probably give it about a 6.5 out of 10. Just because it's pretty plasticky feeling. The buttons are pretty cheap feeling as well. Also this clicky, I don't know what you want to call it, swivel that you call it, in my unit it's actually broke, so it doesn't really make that clicking sound anymore. It sort of just slumps to where you want it, but it doesn't really affect the actual usability of the camera in any way. So the rest of the stuff, so we've got the pry tool to you know, take off plastic bits from your car. So we've got the USB cable, which it's really good that they give you 2 USB ports here so that it doesn't take up, or you can still charge your phone basically. However, if you're going to be using the parking mode, which is probably one of the main reasons why I bought it, then you're actually not going to need this, and you're not going to need that, which is the main power source for the camera. You'll be using the harness that you have to buy extra separately. So that's that. This is the computer cable, so it's just a mini USB to USB cable. Some extra sticky pads if you want to replace those ones. I don't know, maybe change cars or you stuff up the first one, so you need to reuse them. These are cable clips, so they stick onto like your windshield, and then they'll hold the cables in place. They're really actually quite handy. And this is the main cable. I'm not sure how many meters it is. It might be like 5 or 6 meters from your rear view, from the rear camera to the main unit, so they need to be hooked up. And then you got the manual. Now for those of you who are going to be hooking up the hardwire kit so that it can be recording in parking mode, you will need to get this kit, or I recommend you to get this kit. I guess you can wire it up yourself if you don't want to get this kit. So basically all it is it's just a little voltage like monitor, regulator, cutoff, whatever you want to call it. Basically what happens is it just hooks up into the main source, your battery in your car, and it just cuts off the power if it sees that it goes below a certain voltage. So it says 11.8 volts on this one. So if the voltage on your battery drops below that, it'll stop powering the camera during the parking mode, so it'll no longer record, which is good because you don't want to drain your battery just so that it can record. And there is a little fuse in there, which is good. Okay guys, so before we go and install the actual camera, what we're going to need to be doing is installing or updating the firmware on it. So the camera comes with version 1.3 software, so I'm going to update it to 1.5. I recommend you just make sure that you've got the latest software on it just before you go and install it, so that you don't have to go back and forth. So the first things first, we've got the micro SD card, which I've already put in there, and I've already formatted mine, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So I'm going to actually do it in the actual camera so that you guys will know how to do it, just in case you don't have a MacBook like me. So I'm going to power it on from the battery pack, because if I plug it into the computer, it won't actually turn on. It'll work as like a USB, like it won't allow me to go into the settings or anything. So we're just waiting for it to power up now. And there is a little bit of a bug in it where it'll ask you to, so you'll turn it on, you'll put the SD card will be in there, you'll turn it on and it'll say format SD card. Do not press the middle button or else it'll freeze and it won't work after that again until you unplug it and replug it back in. So the first button you want to press once you first start it up is the menu button here. So click that. Okay, well, I'm recording right now, but when you haven't formatted the card, it won't be recording. So the first button you want to click is that one. But for me, I want to stop recording first. So once you click that, it'll come up to this menu here. It'll go into the menu and you got to go format, click the middle button, all data will be deleted. Okay. Then that's it, the format's complete. So now that we know the SD card is formatted, we can go in and unplug it. So we'll take out the micro SD card. My SD card reader is a bit dodgy, so I have to slip this piece of paper in there so that it reads properly on my computer. So put your SD card into your computer and go to Viofo's website. So you just click on, just try and get it from their website, nowhere else, just to make sure that you're actually getting the correct firmware and nothing else. So there we go, downloaded it now. So it's really, really easy. All you need to do is you just, you quite literally just get the volume that you've just downloaded. So that's the micro SD card that I've just formatted. So it's just made a new folder for the photo, the videos that are going to go into the camera. And I'm just waiting for this to finish. There we go, it's finished. I already downloaded there. And all you do is you just copy it onto the micro SD card, and then that's pretty much it. So now that you've done that, you can eject the your SD card, micro SD card, chuck it in your camera. This time, don't plug it into the power source, plug it into the computer. So we'll plug it into the computer and it'll start reading the software pretty much immediately, and you'll be able to tell that it's reading the software and performing the update by that flashing light there. So it doesn't boot up like it normally does, it'll be flashing like that. So that's a good sign, knowing that it's updating. So there we go. I've waited about 30 seconds and it's just booted up like that. And as you can see, it straight away goes into the micro SD card reader mode. So it doesn't actually allow you to go into the menu settings. That's why I was powering it up with that before. So we'll unplug this now and I'll power it up with my battery pack just to show you guys that the update is complete. So we'll go into power. Okay, so once it's powered on, what you want to do is you want to go into the menu while it's recording first, so you have to stop recording before you go into the menu settings. So now that it's beeping, it's telling you I'm not recording, warning, warning, whatever. So it goes into, go into the menu setting, go there, go, not down, go up, because it's quite a few menu settings. So that's where the format was there, so just go down, go firmware version. And as you can see there, it says 1.5. So now you know that it's been updated and it's successful. So now we can go and install it in the car. Okay guys, so basically this is how we're going to install it. So I've got my camera here. So I'm obviously going to try and stick it somewhere in the center here, and I'm going to try and avoid that dotted area there. So what I'm going to do after I do that, I'll run 2 cables. So the first cable is this one here. That is the camera, the reverse camera, or the rear camera, sorry. That's going to run either in the ceiling area to the back of the car, or we're going to run it down the A-frame there, and then maybe into this frame area of the car. Basically removing these and then running along into the car, but you sort of make up your mind where you want to run it, whichever way is easier for you. What I'm going to do though is I'm running it into the ceiling, just because I think it might be a bit easier for this car. For example, in my car I've already done it. I ran it from basically these panels. So the second cable that you want to run is the power cable, which is, or the hardwire kit, sorry, which is pretty much this one here. So these 2 cables are going to be placed pretty much somewhere down here. I'm going to look for basically some where those wires are popping up. I'm going to see if I can find some cables there, or basically a 12 volt, an active 12 volt whilst the car is off. I'm going to look for it down there, and I'm going to wire it up down there and see if I can find a place to hook up this to the chassis. So basically the way I'll do that is I'll just run it, tucking it in into the ceiling here, coming down to the down the A-frame, and then poking it down there to basically where those wires were. So in order to make sure that I get my camera in the center and at a good spot where I know that it's going to be viewing everything correctly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hook it up, or I'm going to stick it on first where I want it, and then I'm going to basically hook it up to my battery pack, which you saw earlier. And I'm going to just view the camera, make sure that I'm liking the angles that it's getting, so that I know exactly where I need to run my cables to, and I won't have any excess, cables hanging down or anything. It'll be all taut and everything. So I'm going to do that for the front one, and then I'll do it for the rear one. So yeah, that's just a small tip. Okay guys, so we've just spent the last 45 minutes basically making a route for the cable to go down, basically from up there where the camera's going to be, into the ceiling, down that A-frame, and then down to the power source, and then also from that camera up into that ceiling space there, around there, up into that ceiling space there. As you've seen, I've had to take off that part there. Those are the handles there, in order to take that ceiling part off, as well as that part there, in order to come along the back here for the rear camera. Okay guys, so I've pretty much just ran my power cable here, which just hooks into, I forgot to mention this, it doesn't actually have to hook into the main camera. You can hook it into that USB port right there. But if you don't have the GPS unit, because they do sell this without the GPS unit, but if you have the GPS unit, you can actually just hook it into that there, so that just sort of, plugged into that. So we just got to make our cable just long enough to plug into that, and then we'll tuck it away nicely in there. But I've pretty much just run it all the way down through this A-frame down here. I took off this panel here and fished it through, and then managed to get it down there. So that's the rest of the loom there. Don't get that confused with that cable there. That's just, so it's just that basically there. So I'm just showing you how I ran the cable for the rear camera. So this was actually really not fun at all, but I got there eventually. So I ran it from inside the ceiling, basically came up here, out through here, and then this is one end of the loop, and then this is the other end of the loop. It's just basically a big loop right now. So then it goes inside here, inside this rubber grommet, which I had to remove that. So that's that black wire there, and then basically ran inside there, and then out it is here. And there's a panel here, I'll just show you now, which goes like that. And I'm just going to drill a small hole here where the cable is going to come out, and it's just going to hook into that, and it's going to fit there. So yeah. So I've finished everything now. Everything's been put back together. The A-frame, all of the panels, the ceiling and everything's been put back together, and I have finished the rear camera. I'm not sure if you can see that well. So that's it there. I had to drill a hole to bring that cable through, so I filled that up with some black silicone, just so it looks a bit nice. So the last step to do is pretty much just to find our power. So with the parking mode on, it pretty much needs constant power. So when it stops, when the GPS recognizes that there's nothing happening, the camera will turn off by itself. So we're going to need a constant 12 volt supply, and I've removed this panel here, just there. I've just had to remove that to get to these wires, and I'm going to find our constant 12 volt supply. Basically, if you have, or you know where your fuse box in your car is, I would recommend you run your power cables to there. I didn't actually have the fuse box down here, but I just thought that I'd be able to get some cables, or I'd be able to get some power from here. So and I'm pretty sure I will be able to. I've got my earth lug there, that's to the chassis, so that's what that black wire, that's what this black wire will be hooked onto. I'm just going to hook it, just undo that bolt and screw it into there, so that'll be our negative, and then our positive I'm going to connect it to one of these wires when I find it. So we'll go ahead and we'll find that wire now. So we're just going to put our negative on the earth lug there, and then I'm just going to go through the cables to see if I can find 12 volts. Okay, so we've got 12.85 volts there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to close the car up, and I'm going to lock the car just to make sure that I still have that voltage there, just in case whatever this is supplying, that it doesn't turn off when I lock the car. Yep, so the car's locked and I still have that voltage there, so that's that looks like the wire we'll be using. I have determined that this grey wire here, I'm not sure if you can see it, goes to that terminal there, which has the 12 volts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an inline connector. Not sure if you've seen this before, but basically all it is just allows you to puncture or tap off into any of these wires without having to cut it off or splice it or anything like that. So the way it works is you basically just you'll put this cable here as a supply for my camera. So you'll just get that, and you just squash it like that. So now that little metal thing inside there has punctured that wire there, and now we just got to put the supply wire there in line with that, and then we'll just close that on it, and it'll have that supply. So yeah, it's really simple. Just to make sure that we've got a proper connection there, guys, I'm going to open up this fuse here, chuck that there, and I think if my hands won't block, there we go, we've got that 12 volts there now. So, all good. Okay, so now I'm just going to do the earth lug. And just heard the camera turn on now, and that is done. That's a good sign. So that's pretty much everything. Just in case you were wondering about those, yes, they are in fact actually my mum's pliers. So we have all three lights on there. The left one's for recording, the middle one is for, I think it's Wi-Fi, and then the right one is for microphone, I think. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to adjust the cameras just to make sure that they're getting the best picture, and for that I'm just going to use the application that I've got on my phone. Okay, so we'll just go connect camera, continue, system settings. Now you can actually see two there because that's my other car which is just parked not too far from here, so you can actually see it. See it on this as well, but we'll obviously go for the one with the stronger connection because that's this one. So obtaining connected, okay, go back, and there we go, we're connected, and as you can see that connected pretty quick. So after the update it seems to run a lot better. Now I think that might be a bit high, so I'm just going to adjust this. Yep, so I'm happy with that. And I'm happy with the rear view, the rear camera, sorry. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm just going to go through and adjust all of my settings. So you have to stop recording first, then you can go into settings and change pretty much all of those settings. I'll turn parking mode on, GPS, I'll turn that on. So yeah, I'm just going to go through it and adjust it all, and you guys do it however you want it for your camera. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So guys, just before we finish the video, I just wanted to go over a few pros and cons. And one of those pros being the parking mode, and this video that I have here is actually a good example of the parking mode. I'm actually pulling up here to a half an hour zone, and the time is 5:44 p.m. and basically I get a parking ticket about 12 minutes after I got there in a half an hour zone, and if I didn't have my camera recording, then I wouldn't have been able to prove that. I would have had to pay the $81 parking fine. So as you can see, I got there at 5:44, and I think about 10, 11, about just under 12 minutes, I get a parking ticket, and you'll see that happen soon. So yeah, that parking mode is definitely one of the pros. Another pro is the video quality. As you can see, it's pretty decent. Another pro is the rear view, not the rear view, I keep on calling it that. The rear camera, that's also really handy if you want to prove someone rear-ended you in a car accident. Also, it's really good that the Viofo, like the company, they do have firmware updates. They don't just make a camera and then offer no support after that. Another great thing is the lots of video settings. You can change a lot of things to do with that the camera, and adjust it to how you like. Now the last pro that I have written down is the application. The reason why I got that last is because it's a pro as well as a con. The reason why it's a pro is because it's really handy to have it, and it allows you to pretty much change all the settings and take videos off the camera wirelessly. However, that's when it works. You can do all that. When it doesn't work so well, it doesn't actually allow you to to do that, and you really have, or I've had some trouble connecting with that. However, after the 1.5 update, I have noticed a massive difference in the speed and the ability to do stuff on the application.
So another con which I have found is the build quality. The plastic that they're using to actually make the camera seems pretty subpar. Like I told you, the swivel mechanism on my camera did break, but like I said, it's not that bad. It still allows me to hold the camera in the right position. So another problem, or not a massive issue, but another issue which some people might have is that when I turn on the car, just like your radio will momentarily switch off and then switch back on, the camera does switch off and then switch back on. I've noticed about a 15-second delay in the pause and then restarting of the video, um, as well as the parking mode. It does take a few seconds for it to activate when something walks or someone walks past it or a car drives past it. So it might not actually capture something. If someone's just walking past the car, you'll just see a recording of nothing happening if it's just parked in a garage. But apart from that, I'm really happy with the camera, and I would definitely recommend anyone to buy it. So thanks for watching. I know I didn't go over a lot of things because there's just so much to talk about. But if you leave your comments or questions in the comment section, I'll try my best to help you guys out. Thanks.